Live, local, social. It's time for the Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's news magazine show. On cable, on the web, and all over social media. Featuring stories from close to home, starring people like you. Live from Greater West Bloomfield, it's the Splash Live. Hello, friends and neighbors, and welcome to the Splash Live. I'm your host, Jake Sheff, bringing you all of the latest news and stories from right here in Greater West Bloomfield. This week was School Social Work Week in West Bloomfield, and the West Bloomfield School District took the time to highlight the work and dedication of many of the social workers within their district, shining a light on some of the unsung heroes of the community, as social workers do many different things and wear many different hats to keep these kids on the right track. I spoke with some of the social workers this week to hear why their work is so important and how much they love devoting their time to kids.
I knew that I always wanted to work with children. I have an undergraduate degree in psychology and was looking at different ways to go about working with children afterward. I discovered social work, which is very versatile as a field, and in thinking about a way to work with children, really kids are in school for the majority of any given day. And so when I thought about the best way to support kids, to support any challenges that they might have within their lives or within schools, this was just a really great way to be a part of their lives and help support them, give them different types of encouragement, different types of learning, whether it be a social emotional learning, different prevention techniques. So just a great way to give students a well-rounded view.
Naomi Schwartz, the winner of the Support Staff of the Year Award with the West Bloomfield School District, told me that there's more to being a school social worker than originally meets the eye.
We might come into school and something might have happened with the child, maybe at home or even something on the bus or in the classroom. And so we might kind of have to throw our schedule to the side and kind of dive in to deal with that issue first. When we have other special events through the school, Kindness Month, things like that, we're also doing some of those kind of activities with kids. So there are times where our schedule kind of goes aside and we just go where the need is in schools.
What would you say is the most rewarding aspect of being a social worker with these kids?
So just seeing the small wins, the small successes with students. So just if a student normally has a bad day or is having a bad day and they have a small success because they use the strategy that we've worked on, that's all the gratitude I need.
It's definitely rewarding in the fact that, many of them aren't getting some of the things that they need in the home environment, and they do come to the school to look for those things. And so being able to be that support person to them is, rewarding. So I think that, whatever it is that they may need, resources, someone to talk to, some support with their education, I'm able to be that middle person for them.
We have an open door. Families are free to call us, come see us, ask us some questions. If they need support or are unsure kind of what they're seeing with some of their kids and not really sure where to turn or who to start with, who to ask for help, we're that link. And so, we just ask that you come and ask us, come talk to us, because we're here for you. We're here to support you.
It was amazing to hear where this passion comes from with every single one of the social workers that I spoke with. And their work isn't just important this week for School Social Work Week, it's important all year round. So big congratulations to every single one of them. We thank them for everything that they do to help make the West Bloomfield School District what it is. It was a double header over at White Lake Lakeland on Wednesday night as two exciting games took place this high school girls basketball season. The Orchard Lake St. Mary Eaglets took on Walled Lake Northern, asserting their dominance and pulling away with a 39-18 win. However, it was a different story for the West Bloomfield High School Lakers, who put up a valiant effort against Lakeland, keeping the game close, but ultimately falling 48-45, ending their season. But despite the loss, the West Bloomfield Lakers have plenty to be proud of with the work they've done this season and the many stars that have emerged looking to continue to make an impact at the college level. Our own Jonathan Montgomery has the story.
Although their season did not end how they wanted it to, the girls basketball team at West Bloomfield High School has so much to be proud of. I had the opportunity to talk to parents and athletes about the hard work and the efforts that they put in to make this season great.
It's a young team. They had to really figure out how to play together, how to gel, and I think that over the season they did an amazing job just kind of locking arms and, learning how to be teammates. So I'm very proud of their work, and I think they did a fantastic job this year.
Every team has that one, the person who gets to practice first, stays late. And that person for West Bloomfield High School girls basketball was none other than Sheridan Beal, a person who really was the cornerstone of the West Bloomfield Lakers girls team. As she hangs up her jersey tonight, I asked her to share a few words with the next generation coming in and being part of this great legacy.
Always believe in yourself and never settle for less. Always believe that you can shoot for the stars and just work for it.
Although they didn't win a championship, they have won the hearts of the people in this community, and that they can be proud of. For Civic Center TV, I'm Jonathan Montgomery.
I said this with the guys, and I'm going to say this with the girls team as well. There are a ton of stars that I can absolutely see making an impact at the professional level, and we wish best of luck to every single one of them. But while the Lakers season stops here, the Eaglets are still alive. The Orchard Lake St. Mary Eaglets now advance to face Lakeland tonight at 6 o'clock p.m. Best of luck to the Eaglets. We'll see if they can go all the way. With basketball season wrapping up and baseball season soon to begin, everyone's going to be looking to stop by those concession stands and treat themselves before the big game. And the Michigan Restaurant and Lodging Association is working hard to make sure those food options are safe and good for you to eat. Dave Scott recently stopped by West Bloomfield High School to hear more.
Dave Scott, Civic Center TV here at West Bloomfield High School in front of the concession stand, home of the Lakers food and fine dining. Well, sort of. The kind of thing you get at a basketball or football game, a hot dog, maybe a hot chocolate, some popcorn. But today we're looking at it from a different angle. And West Bloomfield High School is a site where a statewide campaign was put together with our good friend, Chef Jake Osborne from the Michigan Restaurant and Lodging Association, who's embroiled in a campaign right now to make sure the food you get at your high school football or basketball game is as safe as it is at any restaurant or any other establishment around the state of Michigan. Jake, good to have you here in West Bloomfield.
Oh, thank you very much, sir. It's great to be here.
Now you know everything there is to know about being a Laker.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So
I know Lyle and everything.
You met Lyle. Yeah. So we go to our football game, we go to our basketball game, and we go to a concession stand like the one that's right behind us. And it's important that they observe the same standards of any dining establishment.
Yeah, they're licensed the same way a restaurant is. The Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development has their signature right on their license on the wall, and they're required to meet the same safety protocol as we are in restaurants. They have to have a 3-compartment sink, they've got to have their serve-safe training, they've got to be remembering to wear clean gloves, cleaning in a 3-compartment situation in order to make sure their dishes are clean and safe, and the whole 9 yards.
I mean, it's reasonable to understand that would be a challenge. I mean, let's be honest, in any restaurant. But the industry does a really good job, and the Michigan Restaurant and Lodging Association, Department of Agriculture, and others do all they can to communicate to workers across the food industry what they need to do to keep people safe. But just imagine you're at a high school football or basketball game, you have an all-volunteer crew working back there, and they don't do this for a living like you do, Chef. So is that why MRLA decided to help put together some resources for this environment?
Absolutely. The Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development and the Michigan Restaurant and Lodging Association are all about education. So even if you're a volunteer, I mean, making sure that you've got a good base knowledge of food safety, it's going to pay dividends as you serve customers. As people are just showing up from every walk of life, just like our volunteers are. So if you can make sure that their food's safe, safe all the way around. Everybody's having a good time. Make sure the Lakers win.
I gotta believe there's rules for everything back there, as there would be in any restaurant or anywhere in life. I mean, even something as simple as a hot dog. Are there rules for what to do with a hot dog when you prepare it for people?
Absolutely. You don't necessarily know when you're buying a hot dog. I mean, you do, whether you're buying one that's going to be ready to eat or if it needs cooked thoroughly. Regardless, once you're heating it up, it should meet the 165-degree minimum temperature internally. And there's technique in that too, right? A hot dog's a long, weird little thingy. So you got to make sure you stick that thermometer in there the correct way.
So they put a temperature probe in at these concession stands, just like they would in any other dining establishment.
Absolutely, yeah. And you should at your concession stand too. If you're a parent or a volunteer or somebody like Juliana that's working in a space like this, making sure that you've got the base knowledge and the know-how to make sure you've made to those fail stops is the best way to do it.
So, Chef Jake, it's we have you here in West Bloomfield. It's such a thrill. 2 questions before we go.
Yeah.
A, what's the one thing we can do at home in our kitchen, preparing our nightly meals, to make things a little bit more special?
Well, so what a complex question.
I know. Well, we got about 45 minutes here.
Oh, good. Okay.
I know, just any one simple tip for Dave Scott, who's got to go home and make dinner tonight. And, I've been known to make dinner out of a Chef Boyardee can. So.
Well, let's start there. I think that making sure that you're having an intentional meal is always the best step, right?
Okay.
When I say intentional, I mean making sure that you're sitting down for a second, going at a slower pace. We all have to eat, but taking time to make it through those daily life chores, there's actually good things in that.
Good.
So slow down and enjoy your Chef Boyardee first. But before you even do that, wash your hands.
Well, I was going to say, this is all about food safety. So what's the one big food safety tip for home?
Wash your hands and reheat your food properly. And throw things away when they're dated out.
Okay.
That's 3, but I hope that's okay.
Chef Jake Osborne with us here today in West Bloomfield, talking food safety to the whole state of Michigan. Such a pleasure to have you right here in WB.
Thanks,
and good to see you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you, Bloomfield High School.
West Bloomfield. Be careful with that.
You're alumni.
I am.
Go Lakers.
All right, from West Bloomfield High School, basketball game going on. Concession stand right here. I'm Dave Scott for Civic Center TV.
Great to see all of the work that's being done to help make the food that we're eating anywhere you go at the absolute best quality. So big thank you to Dave Scott for going out and getting that story for us here on the Splash Live. For the past 23 years, West Bloomfield High School teacher Nick Freilich has served as a dedicated diving coach for the boys and girls teams at West Bloomfield High School, helping student athletes develop both technical skills and personal confidence in the sport. After many seasons on the pool deck, Freilich is preparing to step away from his coaching role, marking the closing of a meaningful chapter in his involvement with the program. Joining us now to reflect on his time as a celebrated diving coach is the man himself, West Bloomfield High School teacher Nick Freilich. Nick, thank you so much for joining us today.
How we doing?
I'm doing great. I hope you're doing well as well. And I'm very curious to jump right into this, or I guess dive right into this. How did you first become involved in coaching diving at West Bloomfield High School?
I started coaching actually right out the gate my first year. I did student teaching in Grand Ledge back in 2002. It feels like a long time ago now. But during my student teaching, I actually, as part of the process, got connected with a dive coach there. And just as trying to get involved with the extracurriculars, having been a diver myself, I went and checked out a practice. And this was a very small woman who was 8 months pregnant at the time, jumping all over the pool deck. And she was like, "You take those guys, you go to that board, and you're going to coach them." And I was like, "Oh my God, I don't, I have experience with diving, but I don't have experience with coaching." So she threw me right in the deep end, I suppose. And I came back at the end of that practice, and she said, "You have to dive, or you have to coach. You have to coach. I listened to what you said, and you just have a mind for it." So got into it first year here.
Wow, I mean, that's one way to get involved in the process. So it seems like this drew you to the sport because you've had experience with diving in the past. What inspired you to pass that diving passion that you had on to the student athletes?
So I found through my experience in diving that I call it walls of fear. So each day you show up, it's different from other sports in that you occasionally fear imminent death. You're leaving the board, you're in the air, you're doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and then you're slamming into the water. And I suppose the pushing through those walls of fear, I always taught my kids that if you can push through those walls of fear in this sport, then there's nothing in life that can hold you back.
Great
So I just
words.
wanted to pass that on to my kid.
Of course, great words from a great coach. Now, I'd imagine with working with these kids and being involved with this program for so long, I'd imagine there's so much that you've taken away. What have been some of the most rewarding aspects of coaching both the boys and the girls diving teams?
I suppose watching 30-plus year records come off the record board is a big to-do. I have recruited a lot of kids just out of my biology class. Diving is a very niche sport, so I don't think there's a lot of kids, maybe outside of the Olympics, occasionally where you see diving, that know it's even a part of the swimming experience. So snagging kids out of my biology class that don't necessarily have the skills in gymnastics or the background or knowledge of the sport, and watching them go from where they start and where they finish. That 4-year long journey is incredible to see. One of my favorites is I had a gal, Trisha Grant. We were just texting last night. I pulled her out of my bio class and got her to start diving. And her growth curve was exceptional. I mean, she was really terrible when she started, but when she finished, she broke a 31-year record here at the school. She went on to get a full ride at Oakland University for diving. She broke all of their diving records. She just missed pre-qualifying for the Olympic trials, and she is now the head dive coach at Illinois University. So to see like a kid who had no prior knowledge of diving at all, but I pulled her out of my class to see that where she ended up, and that's now a huge part of her life is pretty rewarding. So.
Wow, that's inspirational to have seen something in this student and ending up putting her on a path to a career and to a skill that she never even realized she was capable of when she first started out. I mean, that's something you see out of a movie, and that is really incredible to hear, Nick. And over the years, along with students like Trisha, how have you seen the athletes grow, not just as divers, but as individuals?
So I guess it goes back to that pushing through walls of fear. I'll take a kid from this year. He started out swimming and was struggling with getting through a single practice without cramping up and wasn't meeting a lot of success. So I picked him up mid-season, and it was a kid that he really had no business being on the board. But he learned a lot about himself on my side of the pool. I don't think he ever knew how tough he was, how much grit he had. He listened well. He took hits on the water, and he got back up and he did it again. And I've seen kids that when you take one smack on the water, they just walk off the pool deck like, that's it, I'm done. But this kid learned so much about himself, and to see him go from, like if you'd have asked around, there's no way anyone would have thought he'd compete in a single dual meet. To then compete in multiple dual meets and get 11 different dives, dive at the league meet and come in 4th place at our league meet this year. That kind of growth, I think it should be I know it's inspirational to him, but I think it's something that can be inspirational to everybody.
I would imagine so. But for those just joining us right now on the Splash Live, I'm talking with Nick Freilich. He's a teacher at the West Bloomfield High School, and for the last 23 years, he has been the boys and girls diving coach with West Bloomfield High School. But after 23 years, Nick, you are stepping away from your role as coach, not your role as a teacher, but just your role as a coach. And why is now the right time, and why now have you made the decision to step away from coaching?
So I guess I love all my kids, whether they are my actual children or whether they're the kids that I'm teaching or coaching. At this point, I'm missing out on some of the things that my kids are doing. They're growing up, they're getting involved in their own activities, extracurriculars and sports. And that's just got to be a higher priority. my actual kids over the kids that I deal with here. Love them all, but I'm just prioritizing family. So.
Of course, certainly can't get mad at that. Prioritizing your family, making sure you're there for those special moments in their lives. But as you're stepping away from the diving program with West Bloomfield, how do you hope to see it continue to grow in the years ahead?
Having been here for this long and that many seasons, I don't want to just disappear and then the program, there's no replacement. It's really hard to find diving coaches. We are a strange and rare breed. But I have been in contact with several, just connections through the sport, other coaches, and I am still attempting to recruit, even though I'm done coaching, the next coach that'll come in and take over. And I've got some leads and some conversations that I've had with some kids that are coming out of like OU is hopefully where I'll snag a kid from. So, dove in college and we've started the conversation and hopefully he can take over the program. But either way, I have full confidence in my head coach right now, Ronson Webster. He's an incredible head coach. He's a great swim coach. And in this last season of diving, I try to impart what little knowledge, I think I have to him so that even if there wasn't a coach to step in, he'd be able to play the role in the interim until somebody is there to replace him.
Glad to see you're taking an active role in making sure that the person who does take over this team that you're putting the team in good hands and making sure that these kids have someone that they can truly learn from. I got a couple more questions before we wrap things up, Nick. As you move on from coaching, what are you most proud of out of everything when you look back at your time with these teams?
I would say the connections I made with the kids I coached. It's a team, while we are on a swim team, which is a larger group of kids, the diver crew, when we are one event in the meet, tends to be a smaller grouping. And so it's got a family feel to it. Just last spring, for instance, I had this group of 4 girls. They were absolutely incredible athletes, academically, just well-rounded and amazing kids. One of them's getting married and lives in New Zealand now. So she came back from New Zealand for a bridal shower. Her sister is in Texas. She came up for the bridal shower. One of the other gals on that team is from Chicago, or living in Chicago. She came back. And then a gal on the west side of the state. And all of them got together for the one girl's bridal shower, but they found time to prioritize hanging out with me. They called me up and they were like, Coach, we're all back in town for this thing. We just want to go out and get a bite to eat and catch up and to prioritize me in the middle of all that they have going on with people coming in from out of country in a limited time frame to see all of their friends and do all that they need to do, that they would want to reach out and just connect with their coach. That speaks to the kind of connection you make with kids. And I don't think there's anything more important in terms of scores and awards and records. There's nothing more important than that.
That just shows how much of an impact you have had on every single one of these kids that you've coached over the years. Nick, last question. As you step away from this role, what is maybe some last bit of advice, maybe to somebody watching this, looking to try out for the diving team themselves? What would you offer to anyone interested?
It doesn't require prerequisite knowledge. It doesn't require skill. What it requires is a will to do. You got to be tough. You got to listen to your coach. And anybody who can do those things, take hits, get back out and do it again, and listen to their coach, is going to get better every single practice and every single meet.
Spoken like a true coach. Congratulations on all of your accomplishments, Nick. And we thank you so much for joining us today here on the Splash Live.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
23 years of coaching young divers, getting them motivated, getting them inspired, and leading them on the path to success. We thank Nick for everything he's done, and we wish him best of luck with his next endeavors. Next weekend, Saturday, March 14th, will mark the 24th year of the Michigan UCP charity hockey game, an exciting showdown on the Orchard Lake St. Mary's hockey rink featuring former Detroit Red Wing legends like Darren McCarty, Red Berenson, Danny DeKaiser, and Mickey Redmond, and more, with all the proceeds from this game helping Michigan residents battling cerebral palsy. Board member Mike Ward recently appeared on the Splash Live to tell us more about this year's event.
Mike, thanks for coming on the show today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, glad to have you on to talk about this because since 2000, you've been running these fundraisers. They've raised nearly $1 million, over $700,000 to support cerebral palsy treatment and some of the necessities for people with disabilities in Michigan. I don't think people understand just how far that can go, Mike. So over the years, how has that $700,000+ gone to help people with cerebral palsy right here in Michigan?
Well, we have a lot of programs and services that we offer in terms of things like portable wheelchair ramps. We have a program called Quick Ramps that people can apply to. We also are heavily involved in assistive technology and assistive technology grants. We have a new program called the Michigan Assistive Technology Loan Fund, and that is really important because so many people with disabilities don't have a great credit history, they don't have a steady income, or they have difficulty getting loans, basically. And we have a program now that we're offering loans, different kinds of packages, different partnerships with different financial institutions, and it will allow us to really help people with independent living and to live as adults in the state of Michigan.
And helps to raise awareness too, to have these sorts of events that bring people out, that shine a light on some of the needs of people in this specialized community here in Greater West Bloomfield and throughout Southeast Michigan. I'd imagine makes it a lot easier to raise that awareness when you're bringing out some Detroit hockey legends from the Detroit Red Wings, people like Darren McCarty, Justin Abdelkader, Mickey Redmond, and others who have participated over the years. How have the Red Wings alumni helped your organization raise that awareness and, most importantly, get that fundraising you need to help people with cerebral palsy?
Well, they're the draw, no doubt. I mean, we use their draw to bring people in. People want to meet them. They want to watch them. They're still so skilled, no matter what. Last year we had Red Berenson, who was 84 years old, and he scored a goal right in front of me as I was a defensive pairing. But I grew up in the hockey community in southeastern Michigan. I've been playing my whole life, and that's how this thing started, because I heard an interview with Dennis Hextall, and he talked about the organization, and this was in 2000. I contacted them, and he explained how it worked, and we've been doing it ever since. I've got a whole group of people that I've played hockey with over the years, and I start with them reaching out saying, hey, when you want to play against the Red Wing alumni, and, everybody jumps at the chance. You feel like a little kid when you're out there against them. And they kind of treat you that way sometimes too, but it's no doubt that the fans want to come out and see them. They are so gracious with their time in terms of talking to everybody, giving autographs to the kids, just spending as much time as they possibly can to help us raise funds. And each of our players that plays in this game against the alumni, they get posted on our website, and then they raise money anywhere from $500 to $2,000, these players. And then we also have a sled hockey component, which are able-bodied athletes who get in sleds and try and play against the Metro Detroit sled hockey program out of Taylor. And those players raise a tremendous amount of money. So before we walk in the door on the 14th, I'm going to guess that our players will have raised somewhere in the range of 20 to 25,000 already.
And we have such a generous community here in Greater West Bloomfield. That includes certainly in Orchard Lake and the St. Mary's community that supports a number of different organizations with their athletics program. How did that connection build between your organization and Orchard Lake St. Mary's to house this event?
My son is a graduate from the year 2000. So when we used to host the event in Hazel Park, and they were wonderful partners, and then they had some construction that had to be done, and when we got displaced, we went to St. Mary's, and we've been there ever since. They roll out the red carpet, no pun intended there. They are red, the red, but they really help us out. Paul Dobrzinski, Brian Clano, Robert Mazur from the St. Mary's group. They're just, they do whatever they can. We get student volunteers to help us as well. But it's a great arena, and it's a great arena for if you have someone in a wheelchair or somebody who is disabled, difficult to walk. It's all on one level, so it's easy viewing and easy to access.
More information on this can be found mi-ucp.org/hockey. Join them out at Orchard Lake St. Mary's in their arena Saturday, March 14th. Doors open at 3:30. The first game, the sled hockey game at 4 o'clock, the Detroit Red Wings alumni game at 6, but there's tons of fun and activities and, of course, opportunity to meet some of your hockey fan favorites in Orchard Lake on that day. And, of course, the most important part, raising awareness and raising funds to support people with cerebral palsy right here in Michigan with the Michigan UCP organization as well. Mike, if people want to come out to this event, they want to participate, what do they need to know beforehand? Is there a price associated, a donation expected when you come in?
Yep. It's a free event. There's no admission, and we do that for a lot of reasons, but we don't charge an admission. You can come, family friendly. We do have a 50-50 drawing for a cash prize, and then we have, between the two periods of the alumni game, we do a chuck-a-puck where people can buy a puck for $5 and they get a chance to toss it on the ice, and closest to the center wins 4 Red Wing tickets, or the second prize are Tiger tickets. We have a gift certificate to Sylvan Table, the Our Magazine's Restaurant of the Year. We also will be giving away Shake Shack gift cards, Mitten State t-shirt gift cards, and during the entire event, Shake Shack is going to be there giving out free frozen custard. They did it last year. It was a big hit. So they're back again. They've been a great partner. And we have great partners in donor advertising, Waymo Autonomous Vehicles, the Bernstein Law Firm, and Benson's.
Mike Ward is with us from the Michigan United Cerebral Palsy Organization, their annual charity hockey event happening Saturday, March 14th at the arena in Orchard Lake St. Mary's, right here close to home in West Bloomfield. Free to attend. Doors open at 3:30. More information, mi-ucp.org/hockey. Mike, ultimately, it is about those people that the organization supports. That's what we're raising awareness for. That's who we're hoping to support. When all this comes together over these 26 years now, the $700,000+ raised, when it ultimately gets to them and they have that support from their community, what does it mean to those individuals and certainly those families affected by cerebral palsy, the impact of what something like this does for them?
The impact is at different levels. So a family who might need a portable wheelchair just to get, their child from place to place easily, that where they don't have to worry about accessibility, to an assistive technology grant for somebody who needs either a part for their wheelchair or a laptop or an iPad or whatever, or they need a loan to stay in their living quarters, or for somebody who has an adult child that is going out into the world that needs job training or employment assistance or education assistance. These are all things that our agency can help foster, can help advocate for, or can help connect to. There are about 65% of the families and individuals that we help have a disability other than or in addition to cerebral palsy. So even though our name is Michigan United Cerebral Palsy, we do not, we take on anyone with any disability. We will assist no matter what.
That's what it's all about, helping people that are in need in Michigan and beyond affected by cerebral palsy, building that community, and it includes you at home watching us today on The Splash Live. Mike, thank you so much for your time today, and best of luck with this year's event.
Thanks a lot for having me.
Once again, Saturday, March 14th is the game. Catch a little bit of sled hockey and then watch these Red Wings legends take the ice for a noble cause. Big thank you to Mike Ward for joining us on The Splash Live. On March 22nd, the West Bloomfield Township Public Library will be hosting their third annual local author fair. Several local authors will be stopping by the library to communicate with readers, fans, and aspiring authors to share their wisdom and their inspirations. Children's author Sally Wenksel has built a reputation for crafting imaginative, heartfelt stories that resonate with young readers and encourage curiosity, empathy, and creativity. And will be at this year's fair to showcase her newest book, Professor Buttonbush and the Shoreline Rescue. Sally joins us on The Splash Live to tell us more about what we can expect from her appearance. Sally, good morning.
Good morning, Jake. Thank you for having me and for showing my book. It's amazing.
Of course, always looking to highlight these incredible stories. We have an image of your book right now on your screen if you're watching on Civic Center TV, and lots of great things to come with this local author fair. How did you get involved with this year's author fair?
Well, I was in the first author fair 3 years ago, and it was wonderful. You have to apply and be accepted, and I was thrilled that they wanted me to join. A year went by. I didn't apply last year because I didn't have any new material. I was just kind of in a slump, I guess. I just kind of put it on the shelf. And then this year got motivated to apply again and was thankfully accepted. So I go to the library a lot. I live within walking distance, so I literally cut through the forest to get there. So I'm a frequent visitor, and I really keep in the loop of what's going on, and I talk to the librarians a lot. So I was really excited that they're doing it again, and that I got accepted. So
yeah, this is growing into one of the biggest, one of the very most look forward to events with the West Bloomfield Library year after year, highlighting all of these incredible authors and the work that they do to inspire young readers. So I got to ask you, Sally, what inspired you to become a children's author, and how did your journey first begin?
Oh boy, I saw that question that you sent me, and I thought about it all day yesterday. And really, you go back to, I started journaling when I was like 16, 17, and just never stopped. I have this big box of writing from over all these years. And then in college, became an English major with a focus on journalism. And I always sketched on the side. I never really had any formal training. And then when I moved to West Bloomfield, I was really posed with an environmental problem when I moved to this lake. And I realized very quickly that art and story is really a great way to communicate with people. It's hard to change people's way of thinking. So I had this I was searching for environmental solutions for the little lake that is suffering that I live on. And it just really, I just kind of went with the flow of figuring out how to solve this problem in a creative way rather than having these tough conversations or, relying on laws and ordinances to help people to think more environmentally. So story and art really became a solution for me. And I started with my little rain garden book. That was the first one, and then a coloring book, and now this shoreline book. So it's kind of building off of each other.
It's great to hear of all the ways that you're working to get your message across and to get people like more concerned and to be caring about the environment with all of your work. That is fantastic. Now, with your book, with many of your stories, they resonate strongly with young readers. How do you decide what messages to feature in the books that you create?
Well, sitting down and staring at the water, I noticed that I look at all the critters and creatures. My kids and I, every spring they come back. They're muskrats and herons and turtles. We've got bass. We have several kinds of fish in the lake. We've got owls around here because the nature preserve is right next door. So, it's kind of a common thing to anthropomorphize animals in children's books and to give them human characteristics. So it's easier for me to draw plants and animals than humans. I cannot draw faces very well. So that really, for me, reading books to my kids, seeing what stories they like, helped me to translate this message through the characters I created. And Professor Buttonbush, he's a green frog. He's a professor of ecology. There he is. And he, in the first line is, in the shade of the shore, it's never a bore, just take a closer look. Like, look down in there and investigate, become a scientist. Amidst the dark, gnarled roots, mud, moss, and flower shoots lives a green frog reading a book. And so he's smart, and he's got piles of books in his little house, and it's giving life and giving life to this otherwise, I guess, something that kids might ignore. So now they're going to look and take a magnifying glass and look a little more closely at these creatures around them.
Get people looking outside, investigating what's right in their backyard or maybe along the creek or by the pond. See what wonderful things there are with the flora and fauna around your community. For those just joining us right now on the Splash Live, I'm talking with author Sally Wenksel, who's going to be involved with this year's local author fair with the West Bloomfield Township Public Library. And you're going to be meeting a lot of young readers, a lot of people looking to hopefully one day get their own book published and to share their own stories. My question, Sally, what advice do you typically offer, what feedback do you typically offer young readers who maybe want to go into writing stories themselves?
Just keep writing, keep drawing. There comes a point where, we give kids paintbrushes and markers and art supplies for their birthdays, and then does that stop at some point because we need other things? You always have to leave that little bit of space in your life for creativity. And if you really love it, you'll keep doing it. But I say, I got these are really old, these paintbrushes. These were my grandfather's paintbrushes.
Oh, wow.
And he used to let me paint his basement walls. He was a plumber, and he got a little wacky, crazy when he was older and just became an artist. And we used to paint the walls in this bathroom, and we did these fish and aquatic scenes. And so I hold on to these, and I actually try to use these. I think I used these a little bit in Professor Buttonbush just to put that energy in there, these old brushes. But I say, write about the things you're doing. And that's reinforced in school. The kids do journaling and assignments. And I think art and writing and creation is such a great way to, relieve stress. With everything going on in the world, you can really put those emotions into your project and to your art form. But with kids, they're so blunt and frank and honest. They're almost brutally honest, and they're my biggest critic. And I love when they come to my table and, well, what's that? How'd you do that? What does that mean? And just straight, and you have to, they challenge you to give them the best answer. They just kind of reach inside of you and bring it out. It's a lot of fun.
They have you thinking on your feet a little bit, maybe throwing you questions you weren't typically expecting, but I think that just shows the interest in these kids and how much they want to learn about what you do, Sally, and about what everyone does for the local author fair coming to the West Bloomfield Library on March 22nd. And with so many established authors from the local community being featured, what does it mean to you personally to be recognized and invited to participate in local author fairs like this one?
I am so thankful and honored, and I know how hard the staff under the leadership of Kathy Russ, who I know personally, she runs a solid team over there, and they're always so innovative to create these kind of programs and welcoming, trying to draw people in of all ages. Like they've nailed it, especially with the middle group, like the teens, where the tweens and the teens, where you sort of start to lose kids and in other activities, but they've really brought them in, and the little babies, all the way up to seniors. I mean, their programming is outstanding. And I feel really honored and lucky to be a part of that community and to be brought in. And I'm excited to meet, I don't know any of the authors on the list this year. I was hoping I would. So I'm excited to swap ideas with them. And the one who I was hoping would be there, I met her 3 years ago, Caroline Kerfoot, and she's in the Southeast Michigan local author circles. And from her, I wanted to thank her for teaching me that I needed a wagon. You have to have a wagon when you go to all these events, because I'm carrying boxes and toting my stuff around and making 5 trips to my car. And I see her roll up gracefully with this beautiful wagon full of all her stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I need to get that. You learn as you go along. And I think bringing all these people together, we are exchanging ideas and, oh, well, how did you find a publisher? Because, God, that's hard. Excuse me, to get into that whole world of finding an actual publisher. I'm self-published thus far. So we'll see how it goes. It's a really exciting event.
It sure is. And your friend is right. Always good to be prepared for whatever is to come. Bring that wagon and make sure you're ready for everything with a local author fair. Sally, I got one more question before we wrap things up today. As we know, you're going to be showcasing your newest book, Professor Buttonbush. Can you give us maybe some insight on some other ideas you're working on and maybe what we can expect from you next?
Oh, boy. Gosh, lately I just feel like picking up my old guitar and playing campfire songs. I feel like we all need to sit around in a campfire together and be together as a community, just everything that's going on in the world, But honestly, this keeps coming back to me. It keeps coming back about, I'm inspired by Swamp Thing, and I actually have it right here because you had this question for me. So Alan Moore, he's one of my favorite comic writers, and he picked up this character after someone else created it in the early 80s. And he's just brilliant. And, we've got a lot of swamps around here. I've been dealing with this cyanobacteria algae issue as this problem I'm trying to solve, like swampy, sludgy, it's something about swamp. So and then learning about the black swamp down by Lake Erie. So I'm seeing something with sort of maybe a darker side to it, a little bit scary. Just who knows? That keeps coming back to me. So maybe something about our wetlands and some kind of creature that lived in them, or Professor Buttonbush too. But we'll see.
Well, we can't wait to see what's to come, Sally, and we can't wait to see you out at the local author fair in just a couple short weeks. Thank you so much for joining us today here on the Splash Live.
Thank you, Jake. Always nice to see you guys.
Sally Wenzel will be at the local author fair on March 22nd with the West Bloomfield Township Public Library alongside several other incredible authors from a wide variety of genres. Hope to see everybody out there. We're going to take a quick break and then jump into a couple more stories right after this. Live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV.
We'll be right back with the Splash Live. When you have a gambling problem, you have a money problem. Don't let your gambling cause you financial hardship. If you or someone you love is struggling with gambling, we can help. Get free confidential counseling and win your life back. Learn more at michigan.gov/problemgambling.
This is Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. On cable and the radio. On the web too, and on social media. Civic Center TV, television that's close to home.
And now, back to the Splash, live.
Live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Jake Sheff, going over all of the latest news from right here in Greater West Bloomfield. This week marks the beginning of daylight savings time, where everyone springs their clocks forward by 1 hour, making things a little bit darker in the morning, but a lot brighter at night. And daylight savings time it's one of those things that can often be controversial. Some people see the benefits, others wish it would just go away. I decided to hear from some of you on what you think about daylight savings time and what should be done about it.
I love that it's coming up because that means we get more sunlight and it kind of fixes my sleep schedule. Personally, for me, knowing the history of daylight savings and like the reason why it was created, I don't think we should have it anymore. I think we should leave it because like I'm pretty sure it was because like back then like the little farmer kids had to go to school and I just like nobody does that anymore. So I don't really think we need it anymore and it messes up everyone's schedule.
I think we need to get rid of it. There's no sense anymore to have time change. That was from many years ago when kids had to do farming and stuff before school. Kids still go to school in the dark. No, I think it should be just one standard time. It's too much to keep changing the clocks. It makes no sense anymore.
I say just let time go as it is. I don't really know like if daylight saving messes with like any other thing just other than like the sunlight. So I'm not quite sure. I would just keep it like all the same though.
Definitely not the most popular practice anymore, that's for sure. But while the majority said that daylight savings time should be done away with, it wasn't 100%. Deborah Mays Love of Farmington Hills not only spoke in support of daylight savings time, but also explained why it's still so necessary.
Because it's safer. You know, it gets dark sometimes early, and so for the safety is the main factor for daylight saving time for me. Especially students going to school in the morning, you know, they feel safer in the light than in the dark. I mean, a lot of crimes happen in the dark. So being in the light, having to get up early, I think is a safety.
Of course, very valid points to remember. But regardless, daylight savings time is still hanging around and it will be taking effect this weekend. So make sure you turn your clocks forward and maybe also check your smoke alarms, because that's also a good thing to do around this time of the year. Right now, we are in the heart of basketball and hockey season, with baseball season not too far away. If you're looking for a great new spot around Greater West Bloomfield to stop and enjoy the game with other sports fans, you are in luck. Game Day Social is a new sports-centric restaurant and bar slated to open in May of this year on Orchard Lake Road in the Boardwalk Shopping Center in West Bloomfield. Unlike a typical dive bar, Game Day Social is positioning itself as a premium gathering spot for fans, friends, and families to enjoy food, drinks, and games. Azam Zubair, the director of operations with Game Day Social, joined us on the Splash Live recently to give us some insight on his business.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure, Tyler. Thank you for having me.
Happy to have you on the show as we get ready for this brand new bar coming in to Greater West Bloomfield. Tell us a little bit about the experience. What sets Game Day Social apart from some of the other sports bars?
Well, you know, it's going to start with the vibe and the energy that we want to curate for our guests that join us. You know, fortunately, being in this time of our lives where we can actually enjoy watching local sports, whether it's the Pistons, Red Wings, Lions, Tigers, we're all performing very well. Our college teams are doing great. Even, you know, local sport, or I'm sorry, the Olympics, we finally won the gold. So, you know, all those opportunities really curate a unique opportunity for our guests to come in and really enjoy, something that we feel the area needs and something that we're excited to provide. And I think it's going to be amazing atmosphere. That's what we're working to develop and to build for the residents of West Bloomfield.
And something different too, because you want to create that place that is that destination that people will go to when the big game's coming up. They don't want to go miles outside of their community, or they don't want to go to a smaller bar necessarily that they may not be able to talk to the person sitting next to them and enjoy the game and have that fan experience. So, in your new environment, it's going to be on Orchard Lake Road. How are you going to be able to fit all of that in and create that experience that's still got that intimate environment for friends and family to enjoy a good meal?
Well, I think it's the atmosphere that we're developing. We were very fortunate to work with some amazing designers, and we kind of explained to them, what we're looking for. We're looking for a elevated experience for our guests. We want our food and our cocktail program to shine through what we're doing. We definitely want to establish ourselves as a place that people go to for the big game, whatever team that they're following, and at the same time, just for an amazing dinner. If your team isn't playing that night, or you're looking for a great bite of food or an excellent beverage, we want to be there to service all of those needs.
I got to ask this because the ownership group's gone to the township for a while to bring this forward. Obviously, they want to bring another great restaurant to Greater West Bloomfield. Your ownership group has others right here in our community and in surrounding areas, but a sports bar expected to open near the beginning of summer. You look at the Pistons' record. Any planning behind that, having a sports bar possibly right before the Pistons are going to be in the NBA Finals, potentially?
And it's funny, we want to be that destination where people come back because their team had great luck while they were watching the game with us, right? And we want to definitely be there for that, for the Stanley Cup Championship, and the World Cup starts in the middle of June. And there's a lot of soccer fans in the area. So, we're soccer fans. We're sports fans. We love sports. We're all about it. We want to be the place where people come and do their fantasy football drafts. We want to be the destination where, again, people celebrate the championships and the victories that we've had. And, worst case scenario, you get to talk about the defeats and how we can be better the next game coming up. But yeah, the Pistons are doing great, and it's a great time to be a fan. We've all gone through those bumps and bruises of the difficulties our teams have gone through to get to where they're at now. So it's great to be a part of it and to see them thriving. We're ready to celebrate all of that with our guests.
You're going to be on Orchard Lake Road in the Boardwalk Shopping Center. That's right across the street from a couple of the medical facilities, the Tesla dealership. It's down the road just south of the old Orchard Fitness on the boulevard on Orchard Lake Road, right in the heart of the community. What went into the decision to put the bar in that position of the township, right there in what's called the town center?
Well, our team is from West Bloomfield. Our family still lives in West Bloomfield. A lot of my friends, a lot of my, people that I've grown up with all live in West Bloomfield. And our team looked for a location for, I'd say, the better part of the last 15 years. And we've walked through a lot of spaces. We've, hemmed and hawed at, what makes a place really successful and, what we can do to kind of set up the location portion of it. And when this opportunity came up, we knew it was the right one. It's a space that's going to have a very quaint, elevated environment, and the surrounding area is perfect for exactly what we're looking for with all the development that's going on from a residential standpoint, from all the businesses and medical groups. People want a delicious, fast lunch. They want to enjoy themselves while they're watching a game, and we feel like we can provide all of that. We've spent a lot of time developing our menu, developing our cocktail and our beverage program. So we're just super excited about rolling it out for everybody.
Osam Zabir is with us from Game Day Social, a new sports bar on its way to West Bloomfield, right in time for all those summer sports events, the World Cup, which is coming to the U.S. this summer, as well as possibly an NBA Finals run for the Detroit Pistons, and so many other events to come as we get into the later portion of the summer, next fall with the Lions, and so much more. More information can be found GameDaySocialBar.com. Expected opening on Orchard Lake Road in May of 2026. Osam, you mentioned that your whole team is from West Bloomfield. You've been looking for years, your ownership group, to bring a restaurant like this, a bar, to West Bloomfield. For any restaurant owner, they don't go, and any business owner really, they don't go into a new venture hoping that it goes maybe a little bit well, maybe they get a couple of years. They want it to be a long-haul success. And does it change that mindset, that approach, the motivation? How does that change for your team? Because this is your home.
I think it's the confidence from our experience. We're very tenured as far as being in the industry. We know what it takes to run a successful business from a restaurant perspective. It starts with the atmosphere that we're developing. It continues with the service standards that we put in place for our team, the attention to detail, personalizing that guest experience. But at the end of the day, it comes down to hospitality. It comes down to really going above and beyond and anticipating our guest needs and making sure that we're ready for the business. And we know, what it takes to have the longevity in this industry. And, not for nothing, our goal is to scale this product. We want to develop a restaurant that is something that we take to other communities as well. And what better place than our own backyard?
Game Day Social coming to West Bloomfield in May of 2026. But that's going to do it for us today here on the Splash Live. Big thank you to all of our guests and for everybody on the Splash Live team for making this show possible every single day. I've been your host, Jake Schaff, live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV.